Peter Duck?
Duct. With hard T.
Alright, I'm gonna set these cameras up. Can you check your phone and make sure the stream's going?
Yeah. Surprised I didn't get notified.
No. I think it's because it's a vertical though. I'm not sure.
What's the vertical?
It's like when you're going through shorts, they're trying to
Like
compete
live,
with TikTok.
yeah, live stream stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, it's live.
Okay. Alright, Rep, you're out of frame again, sorry.
Just scoot your ass up there.
You need to move that mic at all, dude? Or are you good?
Me? No, this is. I'll be right here. I'll be probably sitting like this, looking at you guys.
Dude, there's like a couple second lag, that's it.
Cool. Who's gonna fill their shoes?
What's up? Dude,
July 12th.
my birthday's the 13th.
There's a lot of July birthdays. We're gonna hit somebody somewhere.
What do you know you're having?
Boy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
American boy.
Yeah, we're having another ultrasound Wednesday.
Awesome.
So-
Everything going good?
So far, yeah. I mean, this ultrasound I think is like out of an abundance of caution. Just I wouldn't even say caution. I think she was measuring like a centimeter less than what's considered average, so they just want to do an ultrasound to see. But hopefully they should give us a updated due date too. I mean, or let us or confirm it, you know, because that's all witchcraft guesswork.
For sure it is. For
I'm
sure.
just hoping. So she's, I think, 34 weeks.
Yeah.
I think she's 34, but in 2 more weeks, she's like could go anytime. You know,
Yeah.
she'll be considered full term. So
Yeah, dude.
I gotta paint the nursery within the next 2 weeks probably.
You haven't painted that yet?
I'm busy, Jared.
I know.
It'll be fine.
I'm actually gonna start it today, I think. It's not a huge project, but it does just need to get done.
One of them things.
I don't know if you know this or not. I'm not one of those people that enjoys, like, working around the house and stuff.
Right.
Just other people's houses?
Yeah. No, it's so, well, you ever heard the saying that the cobbler's kids goes without shoes? It's like, that's what it is.
That's how it be.
I do everything for everybody.
The nurses' kids go without the emergency room.
Yeah.
Some of them go without fathers too.
Dude, that's kind of
Dude, I saw
most of them.
a shirt the other day that's like, I'm the dad that actually came home with the milk or something like that. I was like, I want that shirt.
Yeah. I was thinking yesterday, we were at Walmart doing grocery pickup, which is kind of a life hack.
Oh, for sure.
Hey, 13 viewers. Cool.
Yo!
What's up, chat? Sorry, go ahead.
When everyone's always like, remember when they used to deliver milk? And everything comes full circle and now they're just delivering groceries again.
Yeah.
Oh, you actually get it delivered?
No, hell no.
Hell no.
I do like to pick it, like, I want to say COVID created that.
It kind of did though. I don't know if it created it, it definitely popularized
It definitely like put it into overdrive, but it is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I feel like I'm living in the year 3000.
I feel like you get a lot more like productive shopping going on too, because like when I'm sitting at home and I can just add stuff
Mhm.
instead of like I went to Walmart the other day and I was hungry. Like I think it was before dinner. I was just like, I want that, I want that, I want that. We went there, seriously, we went there for a football and so a loaf of bread.
The American dream, a football and a loaf of bread.
You know what? I came home with like over 200.
That's how it is.
Groceries, and I'm like, what the fuck did we just?
I'm the same way. And we've experimented with the different stores. Walmart's pretty good. Giant Eagle's probably the best, but it's most expensive.
I got one of them.
Are they like a Kroger?
Yeah, I would say.
Are they the Union?
I think so. Yeah, Giant Eagle is. It is. Well, the two things I always fight. I don't know if it's changed, but one of the other things that I never did was you could order ahead at Chipotle, right? Like you just pick it up. That was a COVID thing too.
Yeah.
I never did it, and then one day I was just standing in line like an idiot, watching all these.
Yeah,
people.
now it makes sense just to do it.
Yeah, and I can't believe I never. I don't know. I fought it, but that's a life hack. The grocery pickup's kind of a life hack.
You know what? I didn't particularly like ordering ahead on Chipotle when I was fat, because I swear they give you smaller
They
portions.
definitely do, but you have to.
It's fine now.
You have to stand there and be like, "I'll have chicken, please," and then you have to wait for the first scoop, and then you have to ask.
It's all with the eyes, dude.
Yeah.
You're like, look, I'm looking into your soul.
double chicken, please. Yeah.
You wanna start?
Dude, I thought we were started. We were just rolling.
No, we kinda are.
Whenever you're ready. Do you want a game plan, or are we just gonna do it? I didn't come prepared,
But I
but
bring notes.
I'm not gonna talk show this, so we just roll into it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Higher Caliber Podcast. You like that?
Do it again?
Okay, ready?
Yep.
In 3, 2, and 1, action. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Higher Caliber Podcast. Me and Jared are sitting here today with J.R. Reppenstein.
JR.
what's up?
Third appearance?
Dude, I think
I
it's
think
fourth.
it could be
Fourth.
4.
Welcome back, dude.
He's kind of
I'll
like
go with
a,
brother.
he's a co-host,
I
like
just
some
came,
other people.
I'm just here because you guys owe me a hat.
We do.
Son of
You know what?
I'll have to come back again.
a... we're out of stock. You won the hat, right?
I did.
He'll get him his hat, Tim. It's right up there.
Up in the closet?
Yeah. Need everybody to see it.
I waited until we were on air to drop that down because I didn't want to
I meant to
try
keep,
and weasel their way out.
I
of
meant
it.
to keep it next to me and be like, here's your hat, brother.
There you go, sir.
Dude, that is sweet. You guys sell these?
We do now.
We?
Dude, check that out.
$39.95.
I love it. I'm actually in need of a hat. I'm currently, if you don't know this, I'm a big fan of sheets. Do you guys have sheets around here?
I think we're about to get one.
I think we're gonna get one.
So
Rumor has it, we're gonna get one.
I retired my previous hat that I wore everywhere, and I didn't get a new one. So I was at Sheets because I'm there like every day. It's not an addiction.
What's the allure of sheets?
Well, from my perspective,
I know they have good Sammys. I know that.
they do.
Because the only time I've ever been there is visiting you.
Yeah,
So.
they have made to order food, but for me, two things. One, when I leave my house, if I go there's like 3 out of the 4 ways that I could leave my house. 3 of them have a Sheets. They have
got you.
food, and I don't love like everything there, but they have some go-tos. Like I get the same thing every time. It's always good. I get gas when I'm out working. I get gas every day, and they have usually clean bathrooms, which if you work on
That's
the
a
road,
bonus.
it's a big deal.
That's the best thing I like
Are
about
they the
Buc-ee's.
Buc-ee's of the Midwest?
I would say on a,
It's
small,
funny.
on a smaller scale, maybe.
It's funny that you say that because I had that thought probably yesterday. It's definitely not on the scale that Buc-ee's is, but it's just solid.
Yeah.
They're not all
It's
great.
dependable.
Yeah, like if I'm out and at this point, I know pretty much in every area that I work, I know where the good gas stations are. But if I'm if I'm somewhere and I don't know where to go and there's a Sheets within 5 miles, that's where I'm going. Like I'll drive past other gas stations
Yeah.
to get there.
Respect.
They have good rewards.
Well, they give you points. I have a ton of points. I don't know what you get for them though.
They reward you with stuff when you give them money.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Like I'm a Speedy Rewards member.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in a conundrum. I use it all the time for gas and stuff, but apparently I either forgot my PIN or changed it. Now I can't use it, but I keep racking up. Like I have a ton of Speedway points. Should Probably call somebody.
Yeah.
Tell somebody who cares.
I should, honestly, they should probably sponsor me because I'm there every day.
Dude, we'll give them a shout out.
I spent so much money there. The story about how it turned, it's a joke in our house about how Sheetz is my favorite restaurant. And people make fun of me because they think I love Sheetz.
I didn't realize it was that big of a deal.
Oh yeah, I literally go every day. But like I said, it's because I get gas every day and I just stick to what I know. However, I started when we found out we were having a kid and we're like, okay, we need to actually make a budget and follow it, which we kind of did before, but so I downloaded this app that tracks all your spending and gives you reports and stuff. And I'm going through from the month before, like, I spent $800 on gas. Like, I spent a lot of money on gas, but that seems like too much. And I click on it and it gives you all the transactions, and it was like $13 at Sheetz, $16 at Sheetz, $11 at Sheetz. Like, oh, that's what it was. I spent $800 at Sheetz.
So, for folks who don't know, you own your own business where you drive around all the time.
Yeah, I have a
So
power
when you say
washing
I get
business.
gas every day,
Yeah.
people are probably like, that's extreme.
Yeah, I have a power washing business, and you know, I'm on the road all the time. We have a pretty big service area, so part of my day, every day, either at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day, I'm getting gas. So, or I have to use the bathroom, and that also.
There is a bathroom.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk to you about your business because the last time me and you did like an audio only one-on-one, we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm interested in what you've kind of gone through to try to scale this business from like one pressure washer. You know, you're
Yeah.
probably sick of talking about it.
No,
at this point.
I actually other people get sick of me talking about it. I get fired up talking about it because it's exciting for me. Specifically on scaling, so this is my fourth season. I think when I was here, it was probably my first.
Probably second, maybe second.
Maybe first or second, but
Like 2 years ago, I think.
yeah, I started off really small. I was just cleaning windows by myself, and if I go back even further, I started off mowing lawns, quickly figured out that wasn't gonna work for me in the long term. Shut that down, started doing windows. That kind of took off a little bit. At the end of my first year, I got into power washing, and by got into power washing, I mean I spent a bunch of money on a power washing trailer, and I had no prospective clients. I didn't even really know how to do it. I just knew that I was gonna do it. And then over the years, you know, the last couple of years, the power washing has been the front runner, and now that's almost exclusively what we do. A lot of the growth, I pretty much have doubled my sales every year. This year I won't double because I'm to the point where it's not sustainable to grow by 100% every year.
Mm-hmm.
But a big part of it is just time. You know, I've been in the game for 3 years now, which everybody says 3 years is when things start to take off. It's a little bit of, you know, I've serviced a ton of clients. That's more exposure, more opportunity for referrals. So that's just like the organic growth. So the organic growth is good. We also have a good reputation, which helps. We just hit 100% 5-star reviews on Google. We just hit 100. We have made like 20 something on Facebook, but we're 100% recommended. So
No, the Google thing's huge, right?
it is,
For
and
SEO, it just helps you pump out. Am I correct on that?
yeah, I don't know. I'm really not informed when it comes
Maybe
to stuff
nobody's
like that.
supposed to know, right?
I think that's what it
It's
is.
like the TikTok algorithm.
It certainly helps. It doesn't hurt.
Mhm.
I don't know exactly how their organic rankings work. There's people that specialize in that stuff. It does help, but for me, the reason why I did it was only so that when people would find us online, well, when I say the reason why I did it, I didn't do anything, right? The people left the reviews. But
Yeah.
what's in it for me? I want people to look at our business and say, okay, this is the guy for the job.
Yeah.
Right? And how do you do that? They've never met me. Most of these people, if they find me on Google, they haven't talked to me yet. I just got to get them to pick up the phone and call me. So, having an online presence and having a good online reputation, that's going to get them hopefully to pick up the phone and call, or to fill out our lead form so I can call them. But so that's what's in it for me. The other stuff is just a bonus. And then, so that was kind of like the organic kind of stuff. And I will say too, with reviews are a big deal. A lot of people, there's a lot of businesses that have been in business for a long time that don't have reviews, or they have like a few. You have to pursue them.
Oh, that's exactly what, so
Yeah.
you have to pursue it.
Yeah, so we ask every client, when we close out the job, they automatically get a link for a review. But I tell every person, I say, you'll automatically get a link for a review. You can give us honest feedback, but it really means a lot to me as an owner operator. If you would take the time to leave one, that's how people find us and feel comfortable calling us.
Would you say that's the biggest, I don't know how to describe it. The best thing you can do is make the pain point as little as possible to leave a review.
So this is mostly anecdotal. There is a little bit of research about this, but in my opinion, if you don't make it easy, people, one, will not do it, and two, the people who will are probably gonna be the people who are not gonna leave you a great review.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I'm not naive enough to think that I'm never gonna get a 4-star or a 3-star review. I'm not naive enough to think that there's somebody out there that didn't have a great experience that just didn't leave a review.
You can't make everybody happy.
Right, and stuff happens. I could fill up a whole hour just talking about all the things that have happened.
Well, and
in
it
the
might
last
not
2
even be
weeks.
on you guys. It might just be a Karen that, that day, or maybe that's just what they do. you
Yeah.
know? They get their rocks off by
A
leaving.
4-star review sprinkled in there eventually is not gonna be that
That's
big of a
okay.
deal, because, it almost seems more real that way.
I
For
agree.
sure.
I do agree.
For sure.
There are ways to boost your reviews that are unscrupulous and unethical that people do. There are also things that people do where, I'll just give you an example. I send you, so I have it's part of my integrated software, the review link comes automatically. There are platforms where they'll send you, so Jared hires me, you get the link for a review and it says, how would you rate us 1 to 5 stars? If you click 4 or 5 stars, it sends you to Google and you leave the review on Google. If you pick 3 or less, it will send me
Sure. It's
an email that says that you
That's
left me a
dirty.
3-star review, but it doesn't post.
Kinda dirty.
It is, and we don't do that, but I think it's a gray area. I don't think it's a gray area. I think it's unethical.
Yeah.
But maybe people view it as a gray area, and and people will do whatever they have to do to get a leg up on their competition.
For sure.
So, going back to what you said about the 3 years thing, that's when it's projected you'll take off if you're consistent, right?
Yeah,
It's
that's
not-
just something
Not
people
like just,
say.
yeah.
I
Not
don't-
just like owning the business for 3 years is gonna make you
Right.
go into the stratosphere or anything like that.
Yeah, so, and that gets into what did I do to get to this point? If you start a business and you sit on your butt and wait for the phone to ring, you're never gonna have a business.
Mhm.
I mean, some people, work falls into their lap, and if that's you, I'm happy for you, but for most people, it's not the case. Early on, I was just talking to one of my friends I think he's in his 2nd year, and we were kind of talking about the first couple of years are hard because you have to go out and work for it. You're not gonna make a lot of money. You're still figuring things out. But, so me, I did some paid lead generation, which was not great. I mean, it did get me some jobs, but I spent a lot of money. The biggest thing that I did that I recommend to everybody in home service, I talk about it through the lens of home service businesses because that's the business that I'm in, but it could apply to other businesses too. I maximize the clients that I do have. So first and foremost, we're gonna knock it out of the park, we're gonna do a great job, we're gonna make sure they're happy. Then we do, so every house gets a yard sign, which you've probably seen, it's just a sign, it's got our logo, it says house washing with the phone number.
Now,
It's
do you
really
ask
simple.
if you can put it up?
We don't. I actually have it in my contract that we put it up and it's their responsibility to take it down. However, if somebody says, like I've had people say, hey, we're in an HOA, we're not allowed to have signs, no problem.
Yeah.
I won't put it out. Or if I work, there are neighborhoods I know they're not allowed to have them, I don't put them out. But usually nobody ever complains. It's just something we do.
Has anybody ever asked you for a discount?
In general?
No, just as,
For leaving the sign
or
up.
the,
Oh.
or review. Sign of the review, has anybody been like, take 10% off?
Yeah, and we don't entertain that.
Yeah.
We do, just ballpark figures, I probably do 300 houses a year, which also, I do this part-time, so
Yeah.
that's,
365 days a year and it snows 4 of them.
yeah, you're talking, we have a 7 or an 8-month season, so I don't do a ton of houses, but I do enough, and 298 of those people are gonna let me put my sign out or give me a review without asking for anything, so I'm not gonna give anybody.
Right.
That's, in reviews, this comes into like ethics, right? I try to be ethical, and I don't think it's ethical to offer discounts for reviews. I also know that it's against the terms of service, which is one of those things which you can't prove, but.
You're gonna get found out eventually.
Yeah,
For sure.
right.
Yeah, I guess I really didn't think about that, because if you're giving somebody a discount, obviously the review is going to sway. towards
Or
the
you
fine
give them a
side.
discount and they give you a bad review.
That's kind of baller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me get that 10% discount, 1 star.
I-
He's unethical.
Yeah. I would never be that
Yeah.
bold.
Right.
Yeah, people, some people are always just looking for an angle,
Mhm.
but. Yeah, so we do the yard signs. Another thing that we do is we call them 5-arounds, where we have door hangers, and we'll give each neighbor, next door neighbor, and the 3 houses across the street, we'll put a door hanger on their door. Asking for reviews is another layer. My truck is wrapped, which is not 100% necessary, but I think it does help. Asking for referrals when you're starting off, you can just say, hey, I'm relatively new in business, and we're still, every lead matters to us. Do you know anybody who might need us? If they live in a HOA community, or does your neighborhood have a Facebook page, would you be willing to post in there? A lot of people will. Sometimes people are just afraid to ask. But if you ask, a lot of times people are willing to help you, especially if you do good work.
Mhm.
People are happy to put your name out there. Especially when you start out, people have a tendency to be a little too cheap, because everybody's business model starting out is, I'm gonna do it for less,
Mm-hmm.
which is that's fool's gold.
Did you start like that?
Oh yeah, 100%. And it didn't take me long to figure out why the going rate is the going rate for a reason. And this is not a business 101, small business 101. You should not price based on the going rate, but also if you're providing a service and you're like, you cut lawns, right? And most people are cutting lawns for $40 and you're doing it for $30. Well, there's probably a reason why they're charging $40,
Yeah.
especially if everybody's doing it. So you have to be careful of that. But early on, people have a tendency to charge less because they just want to drum up work.
Yeah.
And then people are really, really willing to share your information because you do a good job. They felt like they got a good deal. And hopefully, if you feel like you got a good deal too and everybody wins, that's best case scenario.
Yeah.
So,
I saw you made a post a while ago about negotiating price, and that's kind of the same
Yeah.
Can you explain that a little bit, so I
So-
don't have to try to butcher what you said?
Yeah, so what I basically said is we don't negotiate prices because we don't have to.
Mm.
And I know that may sound a little like arrogant, and that's not the intention, but what I mean by that is first and foremost, we charge a fair price. I know what the range is for the service we provide in my area, and we're maybe upper middle. We're definitely not the cheapest, we're definitely not the most expensive. So I know that we charge a fair price and we fill our schedule up. So it doesn't make sense for me to, let's just say, if my average house that I wash is $500, right? And I told you I do 300 houses a year, and some are big, some are small. We do other things too, but just on average, I have 300 spots to fill for the season, and I fill 300 spots. If somebody wants me to do it for less, what sense does it make for me to do it for less
Mhm.
when I know that the next guy, or maybe not the next one, but somewhere down the road, somebody is gonna take that spot and they're gonna pay the fair price that we charge. Now, the other side of that is I offer, so say we're doing a lot of work for you, or maybe just maybe not a ton, but maybe you add your driveway, right? The price that I give you is going to be the best price that I'm willing to do it for. I don't build in extra fluff to say, oh, I'll give you 30% off, or, since we're here, we'll do it for 30% off. I don't do that. I just say, I bid it as a job and say, this is what I'm willing to do this job for. And you can take it or leave it,
That was a good basement dry impression. Hey, since we're here in the area, we're gonna check your
Oh.
basement
Yeah.
and readjust whatever you're paying on your whatever.
Yeah. It's a trap that people fall into, and for me, it took getting to the point that I am now, because now I actually have an understanding of what I make on a job and how much it costs to run my business, which because this is a thing that people say, well, it's all labor. I'm here to tell you, it would make you sick if you saw my bank account, you saw how much money I actually spend, and like how much we bring in and how much of that actually goes into my pocket, which for the last 3 years has been 0.0. So yeah, it costs money to run a business, and when you don't know how much it actually costs, and you don't know what percentage of the job is paying for your overhead and your materials, and what percent is actually for you or for profit, it's easy to say, yeah, I'll do it for less. But when you know, if I do it for less, I'm not gonna make any money, it's a no-brainer decision. I don't even have to think about it, because we don't work for free.
Right.
Right.
So that would be, that's essentially what I meant. It's twofold. One is that people are willing to pay the price. You don't have to cater to every customer. There's someone out there that will make them happy. It might just not be us.
Well, let's be honest, it's not like digging wells in Africa, it's a luxury service.
Yes.
So you can't, if somebody says, I'm not willing to pay that much, it's like, okay, dude, well, pay somebody else.
Yeah, or do it yourself.
Do it yourself.
Yeah,
You're saving people time and
Right.
you're making their house look great, but,
right. Yeah.
they're not gonna die. So,
And I do think it is a luxury service, right? It's not something generally that people need. However, I do think that things should be affordable.
right.
Then that's where the fair price thing comes in. I'm not trying to, I always say we don't try and hit home runs, we just try and make consistent base hits.
Mhm.
All I want to do is do the jobs, do enough jobs to like pay my bills and have a little bit left over, not work my whole life away, and I'm not It's like, it's not, this is not like a get rich quick scheme, right? And I want people to come back. I want to do your house every year or every 2 years. I don't want you to call me and I give you a ridiculous price and you pay it and then you have buyer's remorse and you shop around the next time.
Mhm.
The best clients are the people that, like I said, we make them happy. And when they need something, they call us. They don't call anybody else. They know that we're going to do a good job. They know that we're going to be fair with them. And that's pretty much it. You said something. I was going to go another direction. What did you say? Oh, about you could hire somebody else or do it yourself. A lot of times, contractors. Okay, so I speak from my own experience. We're power washers, right? We do a little bit of window cleaning. We do a little bit of like some other things, mostly power washing. Who do you know that doesn't have a power washer in their garage? Everybody thinks they can do it themselves, and sometimes because of that, they don't really see the value in it. But you can't. Like most people just don't have the equipment and they don't have the knowledge to be able to do it right. Do people do it themselves? Yeah, all the time. Do people do it themselves and have great results? Sometimes. They might do it and it might be good enough that they're happy because they saved a bunch of money. But at the end of the day, if you hire somebody to clean your carpets, you got a vacuum cleaner in your closet, right?
Mhm.
Or you could go to Home Depot and you could rent a little carpet machine. But anybody who's ever done that and then had their carpets cleaned professionally, it's just not the same thing. You don't have $50,000 in carpet cleaning equipment in your truck, and
Right.
you just can't do it because you don't have the stuff.
Right.
So
I see it as a huge. I got distracted because I was picturing myself like I do every year, blasting paint off my aluminum siding. Before we transition to the next topic, what would you tell somebody who wants to do something similar? Like, even if it's talking them out of it or just telling them the cold hard truth, because you seem to pivot pretty well. When
Mhm.
something isn't working, you pivot.
Sure.
I know a lot of people that just run their head into the wall and they're not going to pivot
Yeah.
because they're too scared for whatever reason.
So I try not to give advice.
Maybe to yourself even.
Well, I'll just tell you what my experience has been and kind of my observation. The one thing I will say is if you think that you want to do something or you want to start a business, it doesn't matter what it is. What do you got to lose? Just go for it. And you have to, I just heard, it's one of those catchy things. This guy, Mark Evans, is a big entrepreneur. Like he's a very influential person in the business space. He had a podcast and the title was, it was basically like you have to get going.
Yeah.
It's like you just, forgive me for butchering this, but you have to get in motion. The hardest thing is starting. You can sit there and think about it and analyze. None of that matters. It's never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
You just have to take the initiative to start. Start somewhere, figure out what you're going to do, who your client's going to be, get a rough idea of how much you're going to charge, and just start doing it.
Yeah, we had that conversation the other day, and I think it's much easier to start fixing mistakes than it is to wait until everything's perfect, because it's never going to be perfect.
There's always going to be mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm still new in the business. Like I said, I'm in my 4th year. I'm competent, but I still run into stuff all the time that I haven't seen before. I learn new things every day. Equipment breaks and you have to troubleshoot it, and we've already established, I don't know if we were on air, but I don't like working on stuff. I'm not that kind of person, but if I was going to give advice, I would say, 1, just get going. 2, try and find a mentor, which it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody that does the same thing you do, but if you can find somebody, like I have a good friend who kind of mentored me in the power washing stuff, and I can't overstate how valuable that has been for me.
I'm sure it was a huge time saver.
Oh yeah, and
Pitfalls and whatnot.
it just gave me the confidence that I could do it. You know, he's like, you can do this. It's not rocket science. And I would say the same thing. I would say if I can do it, you can do it. Anyone can do it. It might be for, what do they say? Like it could be for anybody, but it's not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So one would be just get going, get a mentor. And one thing I will say, because I've been having the last couple weeks have been terrible I just had so much stuff go wrong. I told you, like my truck my truck was in the shop and then it came back and now it's in the shop again. If you do something like this, you are inviting all this stress into your life. So don't be shocked when things happen or if things go wrong. You have to be able to adjust and be adaptable and figure it out. You just do the best you can. Sometimes I look at things like, how would I treat this if I was working for somebody else? Because sometimes when you work for yourself, you put way more pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
Than if I just worked for a company and I had this problem, I wouldn't think twice about it. You would just you would deal with it, but you wouldn't internalize it and make it like part of
100%.
Yeah.
You're like, well, this happened, which sucks, but it's probably because A or B or this person or that person. And when you're the founder/owner, then everything's on you.
So,
which it is, but it's not worth killing yourself over.
I think the thing is when you own a business, you internalize that as your identity, like you are the business.
Yeah.
Maybe not everybody, but I think a lot of people do. I certainly do.
Do you think that's a part of people's failure to launch? They're worried about what other people think of their business, and they're like, oh, these people are going to make fun of me for this, and this, but then you realize only like 12 people are even paying attention to you. So the more you scale, the more successful you get, the more you scale, then people are actually looking at you. So why not just start a business where nobody cares about anyway until it actually goes somewhere?
Yeah, I definitely think, if I understand your question, I think that does keep...
It's more the failure to launch is what I'm looking at.
I mean, it's analysis paralysis, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it. You think, what are people, I mean, with content creation, where you're like, what are people going to think if I make this video and put it out? And I think that's a valid feeling to have, but then are you going to is that how you want to live your life?
Yeah.
And I have those feelings too. I don't know if you did or if you do, but it's just saying, okay, I have this feeling and it's valid, but I'm not gonna stifle my vision because of
what one or two people think about you.
Yeah. And let's be honest too, we're mostly talking about people online. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think a lot of it's like there's that one person that they're gonna see me on Facebook saying I'm starting my own business and they're gonna laugh, react me, and that's just gonna shut me down.
Yeah.
So that's sad.
Well,
but then again, you can kill it in this market because people are too scared to start, honestly.
Well, to kind of riff on that, I think you would also be shocked so there are those people that we'll call the haters, when they're probably not doing better than you.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times people want to see you do well, but they don't want to see you do better than they're doing.
Absolutely.
But which is the most shocking to me is how willing people are in my industry to help. Like, I have relationships with not everybody in my area, but I know a lot of the power washers in my area, and I'm at least friendly with them. Some of them I'm friends with. Like,
would you call them competitors?
Oh, I mean,
I guess if they're in your area and they're power washing.
I mean, we're competing for the same business, but I don't compete with them. Like, I would tell if somebody said, they were getting other quotes, and somebody said, I got a quote from Jared and he was 10% cheaper. I would say,
Send it.
I know Jared, he's a good guy, I'm sure he'll do a great job for you. And that comes into where I said too, that I won't negotiate. I would be happy for the business to go to you.
Mhm.
I also know that if you're a single operator like me, you only have so many spots to fill too. So it's like, well, you might get that one, I might get the
Yeah.
next one because you might not be available.
Rising tides typo.
Yeah. And I run my business from a place of abundance. I don't have the mindset of like I just said, I'm like, if I don't get this one, I'll get the next one. If I don't get that one, I'll get one after that. And I've had people like pretty much shit down my throat about a price that I gave them. And that's where, like I said, sometimes you take it personal and you're like, oh, maybe I do charge too much. But then you're like, but wait a minute, like I have all these other people that are happy to pay that. It's not me, it's them. And if they, like, maybe they'll find somebody that'll make them happy. I don't know. People are funny too. That's another, I feel like now we're going down a rabbit hole, but to keep it simple, people are funny. And I always remember, like, I treat people like people. I talk to people, that everybody's an individual. There's sales processes and things people do, and they have like canned responses for different objections. That stuff all works, but people aren't robots, they're people. And
Yeah.
I treat people like individuals. And some individuals are just harder to deal with than others. That's a unique,
It's just a fact of life, really.
yeah. A unique thing about what I do is, you wear all the hats. Like
Yeah.
I do the work, I do the sales, I do the estimating and invoicing. So you have to kind of be able to do all of that, and that is a challenge.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about you choking people on your off time.
Holy
Getting
smokes.
choked.
Yeah. It's
I'm excited.
all consensual.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
it's consensual.
Yeah, you have to sign a waiver.
That's what he said. You say it's consensual.
I just
But
have one question before we move on.
you're gonna send him down another rabbit
Listen,
hole.
No, it's cool. I can keep
just
it short.
just
I'm gonna be
curious. You said you got into bond milling originally,
Yeah.
and you said very quickly you found out that
Oh, I
was
didn't know that.
sustainable.
Yeah.
Well, I want to know why.
Oh, so the reason why there is, so if the listeners don't know, I'm also a fireman full-time.
Thank you for your
And-
service.
You're welcome for my service. And the schedule is not ideal. A lot of firemen do cut lawns,
Mm-hmm. I
but
know a lot that do, so I was just
yeah,
curious.
it can be done. It just, the problem is if I was gonna do lawns, I would wanna say, hey, you are on this day. And come the same day every week. As you know, if you're a fireman, you can't do that.
Sure.
And what would always happen would be, I would be on shift when I was supposed to mow somebody's lawn, and then it would rain, and the next thing you know, it's been 10 days, and you're like, oh, maybe I'll just wait until next week. And it just, scheduling wise, it was difficult. Like I said, it could be done. It was just difficult. And I would do it differently if I did it over again, but I didn't have route density, so I didn't have a lot of stuff that was close together,
Sure.
which takes time to build. But I was like, I would stop and do a lawn, and then I would be driving to the next one, and then driving to the next one, and it was just not super profitable.
Mhm.
But again, I didn't stick with it long
You
enough.
didn't give it the 3 years.
I guess I really never considered that the grime on people's houses and stuff aren't going to grow as fast as lawns. I mean, that's like,
Yeah.
I think you would do awesome, maybe down the road, managing other people cutting.
Yeah.
But as far as the finance
Add-on
goes,
service, get a fleet of
Yeah.
mowers and some guys.
I think I'm gonna stick to my area.
no shiny objects. to
Another thing that people will do though is they'll try and add a bunch of services. We did the same thing. You try and add a bunch of services to try and drum up more business, when I would say probably 10 out of 10 times you're better off doubling down and putting all your effort into the one thing that you do. And the one thing, for us, the one thing is kind of an umbrella of things.
Yeah.
But we don't go outside of that. If it's something
You're washing stuff.
Yeah, you're washing stuff.
yeah, we can, you know, we don't really clean gutters anymore.
Oh, really?
Except we have a few clients, recurring clients that we still do. But, you know, anybody can clean a gutter. It's kind of easy money, but it's just not what we do, and we're not as efficient. The people who clean gutters and that's all that they do,
Going back to what you said earlier.
yeah, they probably do it twice as fast as we do because they know all the tricks. Same with people who stain decks. We stain decks, we stain fences, but the people who do it all the time are so much faster, they're so much more efficient. I wouldn't say they do a better job, I think we do a fine job, it's just that it takes us a lot longer to get to that end state.
Yeah. That's what I mean by you pivoting.
Yeah.
It seems like that's one of your better skill sets is learning when to stop.
I think one of the biggest problems that I have that I see in other people is you know the right thing to do, it's just hard to do it, and a lot of that is because it's hard to tell people no.
Yeah.
And it's taken me to get to this point where I can tell people I'm not interested in a job. Some of them might be big money jobs and it's hard to say no, but what helps me is if I can say that's not something that we do, however, I know somebody who can help you and I think you'll really like them. And that took me time to build that network too of people where I can feel comfortable giving your name out to somebody.
Somebody you can trust.
Exactly. So yeah, that's been a big help for me.
Cool, man. That was a good question, Tim.
Yeah, that was just, you were on a roll and it didn't want to stop you, you know what I mean? So,
It's a fair question, and people ask all the time. It's just, you gotta do what works for you, and that, I was very stubborn and hard-headed with the power washing because it would have been easy to give up before now. I was not as hard-headed with the mowing, however, I saw and see more potential in what I'm doing now. When I was mowing lawns, I was I felt like my max potential was not, the juice wasn't gonna be worth the squeeze for me.
Yeah.
I love that analogy.
So speaking of squeeze,
Jared wants to talk about choke too.
Yeah.
you've been doing jiu-jitsu for 9 years.
Yeah.
Like,
How did you know that? Cause I don't think I ever even told you
You
that.
saw it, it was a Facebook.
no, you
story.
told me.
Okay.
And you're right, we haven't had somebody on yet that's consistently done jiu-jitsu for 9 years.
Thanks
I
for
know
coming.
you've always been into like MMA and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but before I knew you, were you ever doing jiu-jitsu type stuff?
Yeah, so I started when I was maybe 19. I did a little bit of MMA and a little bit of jiu-jitsu. Well, jiu-jitsu would fall under the umbrella of MMA, but I did like a little bit of jiu-jitsu and MMA. And I fell out of it. I probably did it for maybe a year, maybe not quite. And then I kind of fell out of it. Then, you know, I had the army and
You had to go, had to
That
go to the
whole-
army.
well, but so I basically had a layoff for years, probably, I can't do math, 7 years. And I always missed it. And one day, this is not a joke, but it sounds like a joke. I was working in the laborers union and I was pulling up some like old asbestos tile in a school building or something. And it was like 100 degrees in the middle of the summer. And I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast. And it was Joe Rogan and Jocko Willink, and they were talking about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm gonna go back tonight. And then I did.
You just went to the dojo?
I went to the same place that I trained at.
It's not a dojo, it's a gym, right?
I call it a dojo. People call it. I call it a dojo, kind of like tongue in cheek, ironically.
Yeah.
But a school, academy, a gym.
Bar pub?
You can call it whatever you want.
Okay. I didn't know if there was like some taboo. Like, okay.
One thing about jujitsu we might get into though is it's not super traditional. Some schools are more traditional, but generally people are not super traditional. It's not like, you know, bow to your sensei.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dojo, not anything else. Or there are some of those traditions that some schools do have, but generally people are a little more modern.
Well, can you tell me before we get into it what jujitsu is and what jujitsu isn't when it
So-
comes to common misconceptions?
I would say the best way to describe jujitsu is it's a grappling sport that doesn't allow striking, and the goal of the sport is to essentially control your opponent in a way that leads to either strangling them or breaking their limbs.
So, like, from its infancy, was it no striking? Doesn't it loosely mean throwing or something like that?
I think, okay, and people are probably going to come for me. I'm not a jiu-jitsu historian,
Okay, yeah.
but I know, so early on, I think jiu-jitsu translates to gentle art.
Pull that shit up, Timmy.
Doing it.
I think jiu-jitsu translates to gentle art. Jiu-jitsu, modern Brazilian jiu-jitsu was kind of invented, if you want to call it that, by Helio Gracie, who learned from Maeda. I don't know his first name, but he was a jiu-jitsu was basically born from judo, or at least modern jiu-jitsu was born from judo.
In Japan, and then taken back to Brazil, right? I think
That's a
what-
good question.
Okay.
Like the Gracie's.
Tim, pull that shit up.
Alright,
Yeah.
alright.
Did you chat GPT it?
No, dude, I just, Google it. I'm
Google review.
a millennial, so I Google things still.
I'm sure I just delayed my next promotion by 2 years by not knowing this.
Oh man.
So, modern martial arts discipline with ancient roots. The word jujitsu derives from the Japanese word, ju, J-U, meaning gentle, and jitsu, meaning art, gentle art.
General art. Oh,
Yeah.
you did say that. I think.
It's the gentle art.
Yeah, I don't know if Helio went to Japan to learn from Maeda. I think Maeda was the one who taught him. However,
It's crazy that it wasn't even like that long ago.
no. To answer your question too, it was originally a fighting sport, so I don't know if it was originally created around, like, I think that the fact that your partner could hit you was always kind of a part of it, but I don't know that it was originally like a fighting sport. But also important to note, do your own research. Like I said, I'm not a historian. I don't know
Yeah.
all the roots,
I can't even read.
but okay, yeah, is there a text to voice option on this?
Yeah, for sure.
So how did jiu-jitsu get popular? Well, jiu-jitsu really got popular through the early days of the UFC, where it was no holds barred fighting,
Yeah, for sure.
and Royce Gracie was just like dominating people with jiu-jitsu. So I think that's an important distinction too, that one of the criticisms of jiu-jitsu is that it's very like, it's a sport, and maybe it's not, the way that it's practiced in sport is not 100% applicable to like a real fight. But like, don't forget that the reason why we're even sitting here talking about it right now is because of the early UFCs, when it was so effective. And now when you look at mixed martial arts, like professional mixed martial arts, everybody knows jiu-jitsu. Everybody has some kind of grappling base, even if they don't have a black belt. Some of them don't train traditionally, like they might not even be ranked like in a traditional school, but they have the knowledge because it's a requirement.
Yeah.
Where it used to be like a superpower because you knew this thing that other people didn't know. Now everybody has like a base level of knowledge on it in MMA.
Yeah. So, what belt are you?
I'm a brown belt, and if you don't know about jiu-jitsu, you're probably thinking like, why do they have this amateur? Like, why aren't you a black belt? Usually most people, if you train consistently, it takes about 10 to 12 years to get a black belt. So it's a black belt in jiu-jitsu really is,
It's like a doctor.
it's an achievement. It's like a lifetime achievement. And look, people have got them way faster. People have probably got them way slower.
Mm.
But there's a little bit of gatekeeping with the belts in jujitsu, and I'll be the first person to tell you, belts really don't mean a lot. I'm sure there's lower belts than me. They could mop the floor with me.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm gonna lose my thought.
It's better if you ask questions because I'll
Let's just keep going. When you say they don't mean much, would you say it means more if it's connected to the, do you call it the trainer or the, because people talk about training at like a Gracie gym. So if they get a Gracie black belt, is that where the identifier is? Like, I'm a black belt, who'd you train on? Well, that's gotta be, right?
So they call that lineage, which is like who did you get your belt from?
It's gotta matter.
It can. I would say largely it does not. Largely, the thing that matters the most is you as an individual and your knowledge, your skills, and your abilities. There are some people who are notorious for producing higher quality competitors or fighters.
They're basically putting their stamp on them, right?
Yeah, but where it gets a little bit diluted is there are people who have a name, they have a marquee name and it's really just a business model for them and they're pumping out belts, and they're people that don't really, I'm not going to say that they don't deserve a belt because it's not for me to say.
Is there an objective way for somebody to earn a belt?
That's the trickiest thing, is there is really no objective way. It's almost 100% subjective. It's up to your instructor when they feel that you're ready. And I think that's one reason why people struggle with it and why we struggle with retention, is there's not a clear path. But I don't think that there can be there can be a clear path as far as if you if you had been training for a year and a half, and you're a white belt and you are looking to get the promotion to blue belt, which is the next belt, I could objectively tell you I would work on these things if I was you, and they would probably be big picture things. So there is like an objective way, but there's not a memorize these sequences and you're gonna get the next belt, because so much of jiu-jitsu is the practical application. So doing just drills and memorizing moves and collecting techniques is, for a lot of people, that's part of it, but ultimately how you're gonna be judged, every instructor will have their own criteria for how they're going to judge and promote people, but generally a very, very large portion of the criteria is going to be your actual, like I said, knowledge, skill, and ability.
Yeah.
It's how do you perform against your peers. So if you're a 50-year-old man, you're not expected to go to keep up with a 20-year-old chemically enhanced college wrestler. But
chemically enhanced.
But how you're gonna match up against your peers, people that are close to your size, close to your ability, your age, that's gonna be a really big portion for most instructors.
So what do you like about it the most? Why do you keep going back?
I don't know, man.
I mean, it's gotta get you, I hear a lot from people that are in it, like on podcasts and what have you, about just the thrill of, like, you're not gonna die, but it's the closest you can get to, like,
a real fight.
It jacks you up, yeah.
I actually don't have that experience as far as the fighting and competing aspect, but what is in it for me is it's very mentally stimulating, and also
never hurts to get mentally stimulated.
No, it's very mentally, I don't know if stimulating is the word, but it's good.
Do you get the endorphins going like you would after a good pump at the gym?
Yeah. So, and that's the second piece. The second piece is that it is physical.
For sure.
So you get the exercise aspect, you get kind of the learning, it engages your brain. You get the learning and problem solving aspect. There's the aspect of camaraderie, and competition, which when I say competition, I mean friendly competition. I don't think when you train in a academy or a dojo, your teammates are your teammates. They're not your nemesis. So when I say competition, I mean, you're competing in a friendly way, even though sometimes it can be not so, it can still not so friendly among friends, but there's no hard feelings about it. It's just, this is what we're here to do. And that's just, I can't describe it. People who do jujitsu will understand what I mean, but to people who don't do it, it's really hard to understand.
I'm sure seeing yourself getting better at something's got to be rewarding.
It is, and this is another problem. You never feel like you're getting better because the people that you train with, they're also getting better. So like, it's literally like the temperature of the room just keeps going up and up and up and up, and you might not see any objective improvement. And then you see somebody, so like this is the example. When I started training the second time, there was me and one other white belt, I think. So we were like the two lowest guys in the room, which is actually not normal. Normally, most places are going to be majority white belts because there's just always it's always a revolving door of new people, and then you get a couple that stay, they get promoted, and it's like the higher up you go, the less people there are because people just fall off. Like people lose interest, life happens, they get hurt, whatever. So it was me and one other guy, and I just got mauled for like 2 years. And at this particular place, it was not like the jujitsu's for everybody kind of place. It was a very like hard-nosed environment.
Yeah.
And I don't say that in a bad way. It was tough. And people were hard on me, and I probably deserved it because I was probably like doing dumb shit that just made people mad. But so then you kind of live in that environment for a year and a half, 2 years, and then you see somebody new come in, and you go, oh, I remember when that was me. And that's the only time that you really realize, you're like, oh, I guess I have made improvement.
Yeah, because the people above you are constantly getting beter.
Everybody's getting better. Yeah, maybe not at the same rate, but it's like I said, it's like the level of the room, just everybody's going up together. So it's really hard to compare yourself to other people, which is an important thing that I tell people is don't compare yourself to other people. It's hard to do, but when you come in, if you are brand new and you got a guy that's been training for a year and your goal is I'm gonna eventually be better than this guy, you have no control over that. The only way that's gonna happen is if he like slacks off or stops training. Or there's exceptions, but I think you get the point.
Yeah. That's wild. So you're telling me it's not like Army combative at all?
No, not at all. And a lot of times, this is another funny thing about jiu-jitsu is men specifically, because women, like I don't know if you know, Sarah does jiu-jitsu too. My wife Sarah, she's a blue belt, and she's tough. Like people think. I'll put it to you this way. I mean, she's an average sized woman, so most men are going to be bigger than her. But some of these women, if you look at them and think, like, what could she possibly do to me? If you're not bigger and stronger than she is, you're fucked. Like, sometimes she'll give me a hard time, and obviously, like, I outweigh her by over 100 pounds. I could pretty much just do whatever I want to her. But there's times where she'll catch me slipping, and she'll like actually almost put me to sleep.
Hell yeah.
And I'm just like,
you can't live in the same house after that. I mean, it's tough because
right.
you're married with a baby on the way. So.
Yeah, right.
But good for her though. That's awesome.
Oh, and she loves it. That's the thing.
Did she think she was gonna love it?
No. So she's not training currently because she's over 8 months pregnant.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
So I was doing jiu-jitsu, I think I started around the time that her and I met. I started back And she just totally didn't get it. She's like, you leave for 2 hours, 4 times a week to go wrestle with other sweaty dudes in funny pajamas. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And she had seen it, like she had seen me compete and she had been to practices. And I don't even know why. She made a comment, this is probably 4 years ago maybe. She made a comment, I don't even remember what she said, but she left the door open that maybe she would be interested in trying it. And I was like, do you want to try this? And she's like, yeah, I'll give it a try.
Dang.
So she did, and she kind of went through a phase where she did it for a minute and then she kind of fell off.
Mm-hmm.
But then she came back, and when she came back, she was back with a vengeance.
Came back
Like,
even harder.
she did, and she, yeah, I mean, she really impressed me. I didn't think that she was gonna like it as much as she did, but now she gets it.
Mm.
And that's awesome for me because I don't have to justify why I wanna do it.
Absolutely, dude.
Yeah. When the baby comes, it's gonna be tough because we're gonna have
I'm gonna
to,
say, just wait till the kid comes.
well, I think we'll work something out where we can take, alternate.
Yeah, at least when you're gone, she'll understand, like, you're not doing it just to get sweated on by a bunch of kids.
Yeah,
Like,
no, she'll be leaving me at home with
Yeah.
the kid and
Yeah.
she'll be going.
Absolutely.
So, what was your original question? I
I don't
feel like
remember.
I riffed on that a little bit.
Yeah, that's
I have
why
a
I asked.
question.
Go for it.
So, you said that, when you were listening to that podcast, you're like, I'm just gonna go to the gym or go do it tonight, right? And I've always been interested in this, but how does, even with any martial arts, how does it work to just pick it back up? Like what do you do there? You know what I mean?
You
Is there
don't.
a sign in?
Like
Yeah.
you don't make an appointment, right?
No, so you, maybe.
I
Is
don't
that what
know.
you're getting at?
Yeah,
Just
cause
walk right in.
you can go to Planet Fitness anytime you want, right? You can go
Yes.
train, but like, how do you just walk in and be like, here?
I'll tell you what I did, and then I'll tell you, because that's actually a really good
Well,
question.
tell us what you should do.
Well,
No.
I've often wondered that, cause I'm like, what if,
I think we're about to find out.
But what did we just talk about? You have to get going. That's the
Right.
hardest part is
for sure.
I don't know if I've ever told anybody this. The first time when I was like 19 and I wanted to learn how to train, I knew of one place that some guy at the gym told me about. It was an hour away. I drove all the way there. I sat in the parking lot and I didn't even go in because I was too intimidated. And in hindsight, I would have never wanted to drive an hour to train anyways, though I probably would if I had to now. But it's very intimidating. So I went back to the same school that I had trained at previously, which was still there, and I just showed up. I thought it was funny because I thought class was at 7:30, but it was at 7, so I walked in 30 minutes late on my first day. But it was 50% of the room was the same people that were there when I was there years before, and they're all like purple, brown, and black belts, and I'm just coming back and I'm like this lowly white belt. But they all recognized me. Even the coach, he I don't know if he remembered my name, but he might have. But he was just like, oh my God, he's like, how are you? And he came over and shook my hand, and I just got right into it.
That's a nice place to start.
Yeah. So he, that was it. And I was there, I was there for a couple years. I got my blue belt there, and I eventually moved on for really no reason other than schedule. I wanted to train somewhere that had morning classes and they were only in the evening. I've trained a handful of different places though. I move around, so I won't get into it. It can be a really deep.
I need to document this while we're live doing this because I just thought of the best title for this episode is Snapping Necks and Washing Decks.
All right.
I'll forget that in 5 minutes.
I'm with it.
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
I will do your deck as long as I'm doing the house too. But if it's just the deck, I don't want it. I'm just kidding. I might.
Sorry, dude. So I derailed you.
No, well, I was already derailing myself. I've been around, so it's like I've trained for 9 years, but I've been around. Like I have a lot of friends that train at different places. I've trained at different places. I have good relationships. with other schools, with other instructors. And in the old school jujitsu, that was really frowned upon, but now it's becoming more common, or at least more accepted. So, you know, I just know, I don't know, it's not like I only know this where I've trained jujitsu. It's like I kind of have experience outside of there too. But before I get too sidetracked, because you asked about how do you get started. Okay, so you're interested in jujitsu, you want to try jujitsu. What I would recommend is get on Google, or
Get
maybe
the most expensive gi you can find.
Mhm. Yeah, get a limited edition, show your roll, probably run you $700.
I'll do that.
But you can always resell it if you never wear it. So get on Google. If you know places, if you know people who train, you could talk to them. Anywhere, start wherever, wherever you're at is where you're gonna start. I would see what places are in your area within driving distance. Proximity is really important. You know, if you have a place that's 5 minutes away, I would check that place out. I would say that the three most important things in my opinion: proximity, how close is it to where you live or work or where you're going to be? 2, the schedule, do they have a class schedule that is going to fit your needs and wants? 3, and this is arguably the most important, but it takes a little while to know if this is going to be the place for you. The 3rd is culture, gym culture. I think that's by far the most important. So what I would recommend is find a school. I would try and find at least 2 or 3. You can travel around if you want to hit 10 of them. Or if you're in like a big city where they have, like when I was in San Jose, there's probably 50 schools within a short drive. If you want to try all 50, then so be it. But I would find 2 or 3. You can reach out to them usually and set up a time for you to come in for your first class. However, I can't speak for everybody, but most of the schools I know, completely unnecessary. Show up, whatever time class starts, come 15 minutes early. Introduce yourself, say you're there to try a class. If you just want to watch, you can watch. Again, I know it's difficult. Just do it. They're not going to throw you to the wolves. But this is where the culture comes in. Hopefully they're not going to throw you to the wolves.
That's what I was gonna ask. What are the key things to look for in a good culture? Because I'm thinking of the guy who shows up like, is this supposed to happen?
Yeah, I mean, that's a real concern though. And that's the thing that I warn people about, especially it seems to be a trend that people who are a little bit older or maybe not in great shape are getting into jiu-jitsu, and those are the people that I warn the most. It's like, if you walk into a place and it's like I was talking about, those early 20s college wrestler, you know, just jacked, trying to murder each other, that might not be the place for you. And you have to be able to advocate for yourself, right? Now, I still say, I think most places you're probably, as a new person, you're gonna be pretty safe. But when I talk about culture, and that's why I said culture is really it's hard to get a read on it right away. I think for me, with someone with experience, I can see some of the signs. Like I would say for me, and like I already said, I visit other schools, I go to other schools, and it's still not easy. Sometimes it's harder with experience, because if you go into a school with a colored belt, you kind of have a target on your back. Like
I was gonna ask that, like,
What's up, big shot?
who the fuck is this guy, this brown belt that I've
Yeah.
never seen? Like, where'd you get that out of?
Yeah.
Cracker Jack box? Like, you have to like kind of prove yourself then?
Well, I think part of it is subconsciously people, they want to see what you're made of. Also, they want to see how their belt stacks up against yours. And I would say I'm to the point now where it's really not a problem, because usually the people who will come at you the hardest are the lower belts, like the kind of blue belts and purple belts. And and I've already established there are 100% blue and purple belts out there that can mop the floor with me. But generally, I'm gonna be able to handle myself against most people, so it's like they can come at me as hard as they want, and I'm probably gonna be okay. And also, I know when I'm visiting a place, if it is like that, sometimes I'll just give in and I won't keep, instead of like trying to go, instead of trying to prove myself, I'm like, okay, if they want it that bad, they can just have it. And sometimes that disarms people when they see that you're not gonna try and win at all costs, that you're willing to like give them a little bit of slack, so.
From everything I've heard, it sounds like if I was going to try it, it's the higher belts that you want to spar with the first time that aren't going to get you hurt.
Typically, yeah, in most schools, like in our school, okay, I don't think I established that I also have been teaching for either 4 or 5 years, so I have a little bit of experience with instruction as well.
Does that make you a sensei?
No,
I don't know what that means.
I don't even know what that means. No, people just call me John. Some people will call me like
Sensei John?
What do they call me? I'm making everyone call me master from now on.
Yeah, dude.
No, some people will call me coach. I'll accept that, but I mostly just want people to call me by my name. I'm not an authority figure. One of my beliefs is that I'm not here kind of, okay, I'm not here to like teach you what I know so much as like, I'm here to like help you find your own way, but also this is a thing that we're all doing this together, right? Like I've been doing it for longer, but I don't look at it like I'm the authority in this room and you should listen to me. We're all learning this together. Like I'm still, anybody
Yeah, it's
who's,
like teaching somebody how to lift. You're still there trying to get jacked
right,
too.
right,
You know, teaching them how not to get hurt.
right. And yeah, with that, I don't want to go down another rabbit hole. We're already, I'm already like squirrel, squirrel, squirrel.
Yeah.
But coming down to culture, okay, one thing for me is you walk into a place, does somebody greet you? That's a big thing for me. Does an instructor greet you? Do the students greet you? Like, is it just a friendly atmosphere? That's an indicator for me. Now, if you walk in the middle of class and say they're in the middle of teaching something, don't expect somebody to just drop everything and come over to you. But are people friendly? Do they have you can just get your kind of, front door assessment when you walk in, like, is it clean? Does it smell? I mean,
Is there a sheets nearby?
Is there sheets nearby? I always say cleanliness and friendliness, or like when you're going into a place, is it clean or are the people friendly?
Yeah.
That's what you can tell. Reputation is another one. There are places where you might talk to somebody and they might say, I've heard things about other schools where people didn't have a great experience there for one reason or another. And maybe I had been to those schools and I had a fine experience. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt, but you can talk to other people. To round this out, any place is gonna at least let you do one class for free. Usually they're gonna let you do a couple, or they'll have some kind of trial where you can do a month or 6 weeks for a small amount of money, like $50 or something. I would recommend doing that. I would recommend doing it at 2 or 3 places and seeing which one you vibe with.
Yeah.
If you want to train, you'll train. If it's fun, you will train. Most people, a lot of times people come in and they want to learn self-defense, or they say they want to learn self-defense, but what they really mean is they want to learn how to fight.
Yeah.
Right? So they'll come in, they'll want to learn self-defense, and most of the time, in my experience, the only people who stay long-term are the people who enjoy it. There might be a few exceptions.
It's gotta be like that. Like with everything, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so with shooting, there is an aspect of it of maybe you practice shooting for self-defense, or especially if you're in law enforcement, that's a skill that you have to keep. But it's also pretty damn fun.
Right.
And I would be willing to bet the people who are the best shooters, I'm not talking best in the world, but you go to a local tournament, a masterclass shooter shoots because they like shooting. They're not doing it robotically because they're like, that doesn't mean you always want to do it, but
Right.
it's not, they're not like, I have to shoot my 2,000 rounds
Yeah,
today.
they don't want to dry fire for an hour every day, but at the end of the day, going to the range with their buddies still a good time.
Yeah. So yeah, you have to have fun. You have to feel welcome. You have to want to train, and that's really, to me, that's the secret.
I'm sure there's got to be people. It's got to get to the point where you don't want to disappoint people for not showing up, even on a day where you really don't want to feel.
Yeah,
you don't feel like going.
So I have a really good friend, Tom, that he's kind of been my main training partner for a few years, even though if he was on the live stream, he'd be talking shit right now because I haven't been training as much, and he's a machine. He's always training.
There's a chat, I'm gonna check it, I'm gonna check it for Tom.
He might be on
Check the
there.
chat.
His handle is probably Dickhead Tom.
Hold on.
So he doesn't know I'm here. I bet he's not on there.
Oh, somebody said something about, I know them cheeks be clapping when you walk. I
Mm.
thought that might be Tom. I don't know. Doesn't look like Tom.
So hold on,
Sorry.
I just got
I
sidetracked.
was talking about disappointing your training partner.
Okay, so example, I get home from work, 4 o'clock, I'm tired, don't really feel like training. Tom texts me, he goes, hey, are you training tonight? I don't know, are you training? He's like, I'll go if you go. And I'm like, okay, I'll go. And then I feel obligated to go. And I also know that if he's gonna be there, that I'm gonna have fun and get good training.
Yeah.
But there is a little bit of that pressure and accountability. And that's, I touched on camaraderie earlier. I think that's part of it as well.
Yeah.
I could literally go on about this forever, so I'm just trying to hit the high points now. But yeah, if you're interested, just try it. If you don't like it, you don't have to keep doing it. Find a couple places, try them out, see what the culture's like. Be an advocate for yourself, and that one is difficult for people, especially early on, but you have to keep yourself safe. Like we always say, I always say, your partner's responsibility or your partner's safety is your primary responsibility, and your own safety is your secondary responsibility.
It makes sense because it's like there's two of you and then
Yeah,
bing bong.
well, a lot of injuries happen. So when you're brand new is when you're probably the most prone to injuries. And it's just because it's really clunky, you don't really understand. It's all new to you, and it's weird. That's another thing. It's like jiu-jitsu is super weird from an outside perspective. If you don't know anything about it and you watch it and you're like, he's just sitting on this guy's head, it's super weird.
Yeah.
Just two dudes sweating on each other.
Yeah, he for sure smells that guy's gooch.
Get down here, bro.
He does, for sure.
Yeah.
So keep yourself safe. If you come to one of my classes, I'll have you doing live training if you want to the same day. However, it'll be with me or with somebody who I really trust. And the reason why we do it is to get people over the fear of live training, and we try and show them this is not a real fight. And to back up on that too, one of the biggest benefits of jiu-jitsu over some other sports is you can do it for real. When you're sparring in practice, that's like as close to the real thing as you can get. If you're in a competition, usually it'll be a little bit faster, a little bit more intense, but you'll know in training, you'll know if your stuff works because you're doing it for real. You're not doing it halfway. So we try and get people over the fear of live training. I have my own kind of training methodology. I should say one that I use that does not represent the opinions of my dojo or my instructors, but I'm a big fan of learning by doing. I like to get people in there and get them doing the thing, right? The game is the best teacher, so let's play the game.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people get really, when they're new especially, and when I say new, I'm not talking first day, I'm talking first couple weeks, maybe even months, for some people longer. I want to get them in there, I want to get them comfortable. People are uncomfortable just touching another person in that way. It's like I said, it's super awkward. even worse, like when your partner's just staring straight into your eyes and they're just like, grab my neck. But
Grab my neck, bro.
so I get people going as soon as possible. You do have to be careful. I would say the most dangerous thing you can do as a new person is spar with other white belts. Blue belts are hit or miss. There are some blue belts. My school is pretty good temperament wise. Most of our blue belts are pretty safe, but there are certain people where I'll say, hey, if they ask you, just say no. Try and you have to trust me on this one. I don't want. It's not that they're a bad person, that they're gonna try to hurt you. They're just not a good matchup for you.
Yeah.
So that's part of my job as an instructor is, like I said, to kind of help you and guide you. But at the end of the day, and I've seen this before too, I've told people, I said, I would not recommend going with that person. And then I turn around and I see them paired up and it's like, well, you're an adult, you make your own decisions
I warned you.
and you signed a waiver. And it doesn't mean something bad will happen, but I don't want to see anybody get hurt ever. But especially if you're brand new and you get hurt, like in the first couple of weeks.
You're never coming back.
Yeah, it's rare. Some people get the bug really early on and they do come back, but it's tough.
Yeah.
And it just sucks.
What kind of injuries do you see in the newbie?
Yeah, what's a newbie injury?
Any-
Labrum tear?
So I can tell you a specific injury I cannot give you. I mean, you see a lot of
Yeah, just the big
you
ones.
you see everything. I mean, people tear or mess up their shoulders, people tear their ACLs, people have messed up necks and backs, people break. I mean, broken bones are rare, but it can happen. I've seen dislocated shoulders.
I bet.
But I will say how people get hurt, I can tell you how that happens. Usually it's people either doing kind of like wacky stuff, uncontrolled falling body weight is a big one. Like we're a really big proponent of being in control. First, we teach you how to control your own body before you learn how to control your partner. But be in control of your own center of gravity. And that's the situation too, where you take care of your partner, right?
Mhm.
You don't just drop your uncontrolled weight on them. It's just super high intensity is another one. And that's a difficult thing for people to overcome early on. Because again, one, they're trying to compete. Two, they're like hopped up on adrenaline. Like I said, they feel like even though they know it's not a real fight, they feel like it's a real
For sure.
fight. I've even heard stories, this has never happened to me, but like I've heard stories of brand new people like punching somebody and then they're like, oh, I never explained that we don't hit each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just being, we say spazzy, just being spazzy.
Yeah.
I would
Just the ego thing alone when somebody else is on top of you or something.
it's difficult.
Yeah.
Were you gonna see red?
Yeah.
Gonna see red.
We talked about that on the phone.
Oh yeah. So the other thing, the last thing before we talk about seeing red is probably, and I think the least common, but another way people get hurt is when they're in a submission and they try a little too hard. They let it go a little too far when they should tap. They should basically submit. And
Going back to the ego thing.
yeah, and that's one of those too where we preach about taking care of your partner. Like I would never intentionally, even if I had you in like a fully extended arm lock and I knew that I could just break your arm, I would not take it to the point of breaking,
Mhm.
even if you weren't tapping.
You
But
wouldn't be that guy that's like, well, he didn't tap.
right. I would, after the fact, I would just say, dude, I could have broke your arm. You really need to tap.
Yeah.
But there's also people, so like my friend Tom, you know, we have a relationship where if he gets that, say he gets that position on me, he's probably just gonna hold on to it and make me try and figure out a way out, right? Like, cause cause sometimes I'm like, okay, just tap me so we can start over, and he's like, no, I'm just gonna hold you here until you figure out a way out.
Strength and honor.
Yeah. The seeing red thing too is it's a meme, but it's also true, because if you've never experienced jujitsu firsthand, people think I'm just gonna see red, right? And I'm just gonna go, like, in bodies will hit the floor. But
My anger will get me out of this.
yeah,
Ah,
there is the jujitsu assumption. We always say the jujitsu assumption is that you're a partner. I say partner because in class we work together, but if you were in the street or in a competition, it'd be your opponent. We're under the assumption that our partner is going to be bigger and stronger than we are. So kind of the magic of jujitsu is it can work on somebody who's bigger and stronger. I'm here to tell you, size and strength do play a role. There's kind of a continuum. There's, size and strength. Well, we could just say there's like attributes and then there's abilities or skill. Size and strength are skills, flexibility are skills, are attributes. Size and strength is an attribute, flexibility is an attribute, stamina is an attribute, and skills are skills.
is flexibility an attribute?
It is, and it's
So can't it be worked on? I know some people are just genetically more flexible than others, but
I mean it's an attribute as far as
not
it's-
knowledge based.
Yes.
Okay.
Like for me, I'm not flexible. I'll never have a flexibility based game. I'm strong and I'm heavy, so I have a strong and heavy game.
Yeah. Go with your gifts, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, it's all about what do you gain and what are you giving up. So I have weight and I have strength. I don't have stamina. I don't have flexibility. So that's kind of interesting where you get like stylistic matchups, but I just wanted to get that out there because people will say like, well, yeah, I mean, 110-pound woman is not going to be able to fight the mountain, right?
Right.
Okay, well, no, I don't think anybody is saying that. But you definitely can. So there's like the three things, or I'll say like size, strength, and skill. You can go, and I would even say like age is in there, but you can definitely punch up if you have skill. So people always say, they're like, oh, it's easy for you to say because you're 240 pounds. It's like, yes, I'm aware of that. However, I still train with people who are 260, 280, 300 pounds. And 300 pounds doesn't feel that much better to me than it does to somebody who's like 200 pounds, you know?
Yeah.
So, there is that aspect of it. The seeing red thing. Look, see red all you want. It's like you think you're gonna step into the box and hit a home run off a major league pitcher just because you have the mentality. It's like, bro, he's striking you out in 3 pitches every time.
I mean, you killed the streets.
Yeah. And there's also something I've heard it called the 100-second rule, which is people can freak out for about a minute and a half or 100 seconds before they're just completely exhausted. And, that's a part of jujitsu too, is if you can survive, and this is more, I guess, in a self-defense scenario, but it could be in tournament or like competition too. If you completely gash yourself to the point of exhaustion and I can literally just push you off me and smash your head with a rock, like, all that seeing red, like I don't have to have.
I'm about to see more red.
I don't have to have a lot of experience. I would say a lot of experience, but like everyone thinks too of like fighting as like an active thing. It's like part of what you learn in jiu-jitsu is like you can cook your partner. And it's like you can just keep yourself safe until they're cooked, and then you can do whatever you want with them. Or even if they have experience, if you can make somebody really tired, even if they're really good, you'll get them to make mistakes.
Yeah.
So that's something that you learn in jiu-jitsu too.
a lot about not dying.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I mean, we already said it's a defensive sport, but
yeah. Yeah, I think,
what do I think we've talked about this on the podcast about cops doing it. Would you
Mhm.
say that's still the best thing they could do?
100%.
You think it should be mandatory?
No, well, here's the thing.
Nobody's good at mandatory anything, I get that, but do you think there should be an introduction at least?
So where it gets weird, and we have the same things in the fire service, is like what should be mandatory. I mean, how are you gonna tell somebody? Well, I'll tell you this: they're not gonna make it like part of the workday and pay these guys to do it.
Right.
So now you're saying, oh, there's this mandatory thing that you have to pay money to do.
I mean, their shooting calls are mandatory and they pay them to go do that.
Yeah, but that's like twice a year. Or
That's
3
what,
times.
yeah.
Once a year,
Yeah.
probably.
No, you're right there. You're not gonna do anything on once a year jiu-jitsu class, but.
So, again, very good question. Jiu-jitsu is a superpower for cops. It's a superpower for anybody, but talk to any cop that you know who's got kind of a moderate level of skill in jiu-jitsu, and they'll tell you it 100% helps them.
How could it not? You're learning how to fold people in
Yeah.
ways they shouldn't be folded. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're learning how to control another person's body
Yeah.
when they don't want you to, right? So there's a guy too. He's on TikTok. I think his handle's Mad Skills. He's a really good. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt. He's local in the Cleveland area, and he's works as a cop too. I don't remember where he works, but he's competed in jiu-jitsu at high levels. Like he's very good, and he's talked about that a lot. And he's like, I use jiu-jitsu all the time at work, and for somebody like him, he's like so good at it that he's not gonna run across somebody on the street that he's not gonna be able to arrest, you know?
Yeah.
And I always like to say this: I'm not a cop. I'm not telling anybody how to do their job or making any suggestions, because we all know who wins first in a fight is whoever's friends show up first, right?
Fair.
So, I'm not saying that jiu-jitsu is the end all be all. Like, your best weapon is between your ears. Use your brain first. De-escalate whatever you got to do. Call for help. De-escalate. This goes not just for cops. This is for everybody. Don't get in a fight in the first place. But like I said, somebody like him, he's not going to run across somebody on the street that he's not going to be able to arrest or subdue. So there's also, weapons and stuff, and that's a whole other thing. Like I'm not here to talk about that. I guess your question is jiu-jitsu good for cops? I would say absolutely 100%, no question, no doubt about it. Talk to a cop that does jiu-jitsu and see what they say about it. And something else important about that. So what I would caution people about is with jiu-jitsu, it is a practice. It's not I go to this seminar, because I went to a combatives for law enforcement seminar just to kind of see what it was all about and see what they were teaching. And I thought the information was really good. A lot of people in there had never trained before. I thought it was a great introduction. However, that teaches you just enough to get your ass beat, because the techniques are good and they work, but jiu-jitsu is not, the techniques are not jiu-jitsu, right? The value of jiu-jitsu is doing it against a resisting opponent, and it's the practical knowledge that comes with it, right? So that's what I would caution people about, is even if you can only do it once a week or twice a week is actually great. Like, people think you have to do it 5, 6, 7 times a week. Once a week is good, twice a week is better, 3 times is incredible.
Yeah, you're really doing it 3 times a week.
But if you go to like a seminar or you do a class like every now and then and you're not doing live resistance training, you're kind of like, I would say maybe it's better than nothing, but be careful. You got to be careful that you're not going to try and do
Probably
something.
there's probably a lot of false confidence there.
I've seen videos, this is what I'll say about it, and again, I'm not criticizing, I'm not, I'm not shitting on anybody. I've seen videos, there was a video of a cop who was trying to arrest somebody, I think it was in like a Walmart, and he was on top of whoever it was, I think it was a guy, he was on top of, and he like goes to an arm bar, and you can kind of tell that he had some training, but it wasn't like really smooth, and he could have just stayed on top of the person, which would have been tactically a better decision. That's what I worry about, is you get the Dunning-Kruger where you know a little bit, like your actual knowledge is here, but your confidence is here.
Yeah.
That's what I would caution people against, but the only way to get around that is, again, you have to do it regularly for a long time. It's gonna be 6 months before you have an intelligent jujitsu thought. It's weird, it's chaotic, it's not gonna make sense, but if you get through that kind of early novice phase and you start to connect the dots, that's when your knowledge starts to creep up, but your confidence shoots way down because you realize how much there is that you don't know.
Who's that? Who quoted that? Or who's that quote? I don't know.
You don't know what you
The
don't
only
know.
thing I know is I know nothing or whatever.
I don't know. But I say you don't know what you don't know about 500 times a day.
Well, it's true.
Because I don't know shit.
It's true. I like that. Know just enough to get your ass kicked.
It's unfortunately true. I mean, the people.
Yeah, but what if you have a tap out shirt on? Did you ever consider that?
It could be a double cross where like somebody could be a legitimate badass and they're wearing a tap out shirt because they want somebody to try them.
A double cross.
Yeah, that'd be.
Those used to be so cool, dude.
No.
They're gone now,
They
right?
still are.
Are they still
No,
cool?
I don't know.
No.
An affliction.
I saw like one of my things.
I saw some dude dripped in double affliction the other day.
One of my fucking
Drip, drip.
timeline things was like, cool tap out shirt. How many asses have you kicked? Like that.
Mhm.
That was 10 years ago. It's fucking awesome.
Well, we better quit rambling about it before you get yourself in trouble.
Killed in the streets.
Yeah, I know. I did a lot of the talking here. Clearly, this is something I'm
Well, I'm me
passionate
and Tim
about.
rambling. You're
Fine.
Oh, I don't know if you guys have any other questions. It's hard. I'm assuming people who are listening to this are not experienced jujitsu people, but I wouldn't be surprised if most of them have heard of it or know something about it. So,
You actually don't know this, but 90% of our audience are like purple and blue belts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then you probably should have had somebody else come on because,
What's up, y'all?
We were looking for a brown.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's you can tell I get fired up about it. It's been great for me in my life. People always will say that like jujitsu translates outside of life or out to your life outside of jujitsu, and that has been true for me. It's also, you put your kids in martial arts to teach them like discipline and respect and all these other things, and then you do it as an adult and it's much more casual. It's kind of just like, you show up and you're just like, hey Jared, hey Tim, and you kind of stretch out and then you practice murder against
Get
each
out
other.
here, bro.
Yeah. But my experience has been like, I just feel like I'm a better person for doing jujitsu. I'm a better person when I do jujitsu. I can tell you this, when I was younger, I would have been a lot quicker to choose violence with somebody.
Mhm.
Not that I did, like I was never, I'm not really a physical, I don't like confrontation period, let alone physical confrontation. But now I just don't care. Like, I feel confident that if I had to defend myself with just my bare hands, I could.
Which are huge, by the way.
Oh, they're average.
Freaking meat mittens,
They're
dude.
average. If I had to defend myself, I could. I don't want to. Like, I don't care. I don't have anything to prove. There's nothing you're gonna say to me that's gonna make me want to fight you. And that's another thing, because I talk to younger guys too, and I can tell they have this like token, like I don't want to fight anybody, but really they're like, you're like
They
hoping,
just know that's what you're supposed to say.
yeah, they're hoping somebody tries them, and part of this is just being on this earth for 37 years and living the life that I lived when I was in my 20s and being out at bars and clubs and just seeing all the dumb
Chaos for
Yeah.
no reason.
It's so dumb, and for what, you know?
Mm.
And you also never know. You know, you walk into any room now, and you're bound to throw a rock and hit somebody who does jujitsu or MMA or something. So I don't really like think about it like that, but it's just there's no reason. De-escalate, walk away. I actually think Jocko Willing said something on his podcast, and I don't know that I'm not a Jocko bootlicker either. This is just something that he said, that it was basically like a homeless guy said something to his wife on the street, and somebody made a comment about like, why didn't you like tune that guy up? I'm sure this is not what happened, but the moral of the story is he just says, what does that say about my relationship with my wife if I have to beat up a vagrant on the street to defend her honor?
It's a good point.
It is a good point. It's like, dude, nobody cares. Like, it's just this, it's ego and like this macho bullshit that people do. And this can be the last thing I say about it, because this is maybe the most important, but also this is somewhere where maybe you guys would chime in. I always say too, when we talk, I don't practice jujitsu for self-defense. I practice it because I like it. Self-defense is an afterthought for me. However, if you are doing jujitsu for self-defense, that is just one part of self-defense. Obviously, in real life, outside of the dojo, people can punch you, they can kick you, they can shoot you, they can stab you. So I always, like I said, your best weapon is between your ears, but sometimes people have this romantic idea with jujitsu if they're like, I want to be able to defend myself, but I don't want to hurt anybody. And I'm like, dude, let's pump the brakes. If you're fighting with somebody on the street, it should be because you feel like your life is in danger,
100%.
and you should be going nuclear right off the bat.
Yeah.
I always preach speed, surprise, violence of action. Like,
Yeah.
brick to the head right off the bat. Don't be fucking around trying to like, oh, I want to use my jujitsu. It's like, no, I want to put this person down and get the fuck out of here as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think, so this is like the important distinction. That's the like, you know, somebody tries to mug you on the street or whatever happens where you're like, you know, like if you've ever been in a situation, I guess I can't speak for everybody, but like, you'll know when it happens. Usually like when you're in that situation where you're actually in danger, all the alarms are going off and you're like, something's off here.
Spidey senses are going.
No,
See?
that doesn't mean that you're out at a bar and some drunk dude won't leave you alone and you just freaking like Rampage Jackson power bomb him onto the concrete.
Yeah.
That would be, you know, potentially a criminal charge. So you have to be able to measure the situation, I guess. You have to develop the situation rapidly and know what the appropriate level of force is.
Well, I mean, it's like when we teach concealed carry, we talk about what a jury of your peers will see as reasonable force.
Right.
So, you know, when the homeless guy taps you on the shoulder and you hit him with a brick,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but the whole point of self-defense in general, no matter where you're using, is to stop the threat.
Right.
So, whatever you feel is the threat.
Break the wrist, walk away.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not presenting as a self-defense expert here. I just tell people what my opinion is. And my opinion is...
Oh, you didn't know we had you on for self-defense expert?
Well, I mean, self-defense as a whole,
Yeah.
which encompasses, like I said, many things. It's not just hand-to-hand combat. It's not just weapons. I think, again, the biggest thing is use your brain. Use your brain and don't get caught up in don't let your ego or your lizard brain get involved. Like, just leave. Just leave. Now, if you can't leave, different, you know, like,
Yeah.
now you just can't leave.
I believe you. I'm not
So-
telling you I don't.
I think, where am I going with this? So,
Be a
okay,
good
so when you make the decision, when you're like, I feel threatened, you make the decision that this is gonna get physical, speed, surprise, violence of action.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're, I'll just leave it at that. I'm not gonna,
Not gonna pontificate on the speed and the violence. And
no, just,
I do have a question. You brought up bashing somebody in the head with a brick.
yeah.
Do you carry said brick?
No,
On your
no,
person,
you would
or-
have to provide your own brick.
Okay, I just
I don't
curious.
carry a brick.
Do
but
they have the
it's,
brick?
It's the proverbial brick to the head. Though.
I got
It's
you.
like
Yeah.
the whole point is go nuclear right off the bat. And I know speed, surprise, violence of action is something that they would say in the military, but it's a good thing to go by. I know that there's legal ramifications for things, and you might have to justify yourself in court.
Yeah, that's
but-
not something you want to say in the back of the cruiser is speed, surprise, violence. Back.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, and you also have to make sure, because it's unfortunate, but sometimes you see these self-defense scenarios or cases where the person who acted in self-defense actually escalated the situation to that point. And that's why I'm saying it's like, just walk away, like don't let it get to that point. I'm talking about when you're in a situation where there's nothing you can do to leave, you didn't do anything to escalate the situation, and you're just between a rock and a hard place where you're like, my safety is in jeopardy, and my only option is to get physical.
Mhm.
So that should always be last resort. But when you make the decision, be first, right?
Yeah.
That's like the two people who win in a fight. One, whoever's friends show up first. Two is probably whoever throws the first punch.
Yeah.
And hopefully the first one's a good one. Because if you miss, you might be in a world of hurt.
Yeah, for sure. He told me to punch him, so I punched him.
Yeah.
That was always his favorite thing. I don't know why people put their hands up and say, "Hit me, bro." He told me to do it.
Yeah, there's mutual combat in Texas too.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, I've never.
I don't want to try the theory, but
Yeah.
you know.
What else you got? Anything?
No, I need some more caffeine.
Dude, me too.
Yeah. I've been holding in a huge piss.
All right, dude. Well, hey, man, thanks for coming to talk to us today.
Thanks for coming. It's
Hey,
always,
no,
it's
thanks.
always a great time.
Thanks for having me. I haven't seen you guys in a while, so it's really been cool just to catch up.
Yeah.
And hopefully the 200 listeners on this episode got something out of it.
Yeah.
I will say though, I mean, if you are somebody that's interested in jiu-jitsu or even business, we talked about business, I'm not hard to find on social media. If you have any questions or if you want my opinion on something, reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you. Just know that 9 times out of 10, I'm probably just going to tell you to call me because it's easier than messaging back and forth.
I'll put your links on the show notes.
Yeah, feel free.
All right, dude.
All right. Thanks, y'all.
Hey, thanks for episode 50, by the way.
50?
Mark, so.
I didn't even know this was a whole landmark episode.
0.
Well, hold on. In that case,
Let me wear my.
let me wear my higher caliber lid.
Oh yeah. Does it fit?
I
That's
have to adjust
adjustable.
that.
It's a snapback,
Sweet.
bro. It says not that
All
big.
right. See you, everybody.
Later.
Dude, that
How's the
was.
live chat looking?
It was popping there for a hot minute. I gotta read back something. Somebody said something about clapping cheeks or something.
I know the cheeks be clapping when you talk.
Fix your volume levels, can't hear you. I gotta read back something. Somebody said something about clapping cheeks or something.
I know the cheeks be clapping when you talk. Early start to the day, boys.
Fix your volume levels, can't hear you. I think everybody's gone.
Oh, we got 2 and
Well, they probably couldn't hear shit because there was no microphone.
yeah, we could hear it regularly. Early start to the day, boys. Thanks, y'all, for checking us out. See you later. Maybe.